Good day again, everyone. And once again, we are back looking still at that grade 11 question paper. So if you haven't subscribed, please just make sure you're part of the family. All right. So, and of course, you can always get in touch with us for our value added services. Our website is Mlungisi Nkosi, as it's written there, mlungisinkosi.co.za. Just one word. Okay. Right. So let's get right into it for our grade 11s. So this is from the 2018 exam. So just discussing that one question at a time. Right, so they say the first question 2.1, they said to us we should simplify as much as possible, right? Fully without the use of a calculator. So we've got 2x minus 3 times, so that's 2 exponent x plus 1 divided by, that's x minus 2, right? So we're going to now take the laws of exponents, right? So in this case, what we simply do is we say, well, this is 2, okay, I'm writing the wrong thing there. So this is going to be 2x multiplied by 2 to the negative 3. So I'm separating them. You'll see why that is the case. So remember, there's a minus sign in between, so we can't fully utilize those laws, right? So that's 2 times, that's 2x times 2 to the exponent 1, right? So now, if we take that, so if we separate that again, so that's going to be 2 to the exponent x times, right? So remember when we use the first law of exponents, sorry about that. So 2 exponent x to negative 2, right? Now, what I'm simply going to do, ladies and gents, is that I can see at the top I've got a common factor there of 2 to the exponent x, right? So I'm going to take that as a common factor. So what am I left with? This is 2 to the negative 3 minus 3 times 2 to the exponent 1. Okay, this is divided by 2 to the exponent x times 2 to the exponent negative 2, right? So look at that. That becomes much easier now for us to cancel out, because we've got that and that can easily cancel. And what do we have as our final answer? Right, remember 2 to the exponent 3, this is the same as 1 over 2 to the exponent 3, which is 1 over 8. So I'm going to write it as that. Okay, so that's 1 over 8 minus 3 times 2 is, in this case, 6. Okay, divided by 2 to the exponent negative 2, this is the same as 1 over 2 squared, which is 1 over 4. Okay, right. If you want to, you can obviously just use your calculator here. So, of course, they did say without the use of a calculator, but I'm just cheating a little bit. Okay, so this is going to be 1 over 8, okay? And this is subtract 6. And in this case, all of that, okay, which is divided by 1 over 4, right? So I'm going to say divide that by 1 over 4. Okay, so that should be a fraction. We get minus 47 over 2, okay, which will give us negative 47 over 2. If you do find, let's say, something that looks slightly different, please do let me know. But I think we have done what is correct there. Okay, so in this case, what you could have done, use the laws in this case of fractions, right? So you can make this as a fraction. In this case, change that 6 into a fraction, or just simply multiply by 1 over 4, so that what you do at the bottom, you do at the top. But the main thing is you're going to get the same answer. All right, now let's go to the next one, okay? So what I'm going to do is, as we just move along, I'm just going to take this down, okay, so that it's much easier for us to make reference, okay? Right, now in this case, I'm going to simply say, right, on 2.2, we've got 2 minus 16 x to the exponent negative 3 over 2, which is equal to 0, right? Now, what we simply do, ladies and gents, on such an occasion, what we do is let's try and isolate as much as possible, okay, what we can, right? So we'll have negative 16 x negative 3 over 2, which is equal to negative 2. So I'm going to divide by negative 16 on either side, okay? So negative 16, so that cancels that. Now we've got x minus 3 over 2, which is equal to, remember this is negative 16, and so this gives us 1 over 8, right? So what do we do when we've got an exponent in that case and we're trying to solve? All you simply do, ladies and gents, is that you are going to multiply by the inverse, right? So you're going to multiply that exponent by the inverse of it. So I'm going to multiply by 2 over 3, but make sure that that is negative, right? But what I do on the left, I do on the right. So that is going to be multiplied by negative 2 over 3, right? So now, what does this become, right? So x, so remember, this guy will cancel that, that will cancel that. X negative times negative is positive. So I'm left with x here. So let's express 1 over 8 as in this case. Now think about it. This is 1 over 2 to the exponent 3, right? But what you can also do, remember, 1 to the power 3 is also 1, right? So we can express it this way, but remember that we've got negative 2 over 3 over there, right? So therefore, this becomes 1 over 2, right, to the exponent 3 multiplied by, okay, that's negative 2 over 3. So that and that cancel out. So we've got 1 over 2 times negative 2. Okay, or rather raised to the exponent negative 2. I hope that makes sense, ladies and gents. Right, now think about it once again, right? So what does that negative 2 mean, right? So 1 over 2 can be 2 to the negative 1, right? Multiplied or raised to the exponent negative 2. So therefore this becomes 2 squared. In this case, negative 1 times negative 2 gives us 2, positive 2, so therefore x will actually be equal to 4. I hope that makes sense, ladies and gents, especially this part, right? Remember, all we simply did was multiply by the inverse so that we get rid of that exponent there, and we converted the 1 over 8 into 1 over 2 to the exponent 3, right? That's what we did there. And we multiplied, in this case, that's 3 over 1 times negative 2 over 3. And of course, the 3 is cancelled, and we got that. So the answer is x is equal to 4. I hope that makes sense, ladies and gents. Right, let's move on to the very next one. Okay, as I said, we'll just keep moving this down so that it's easier for us to just refer to, right? Okay, right. Okay, so let's go to the next question. So we given there in 2.2.2, we've got 4 exponent x plus 8, which is equal to 9 to the 9 times 2 exponent x. Right, so how can we change this? So I'm going to try and change it to exponents with the same base. So we have 2 squared, right, raised to the exponent x plus 8. I'm going to leave that as 8. This is 9 times 2 to the exponent x. And all I'm simply going to do is, let's say, so if we say this is 2 to the 2x, right? Plus 8, which is equal to 9 times 2 raised to the exponent x. So if you think about it, right? If we let 2 to the exponent x equal to k, what do we have? This guy becomes k squared. Why? Because if you think about it, we can actually write it as 2 to the exponent x squared, right? Plus 8, which is equal to 9 times 2 raised to the exponent x. So that becomes k squared plus 8, which is 9k, right? So if we say k squared minus 9k plus 8, which is equal to 0, so we can factorize this and say, well, factors of 8 such that when I add them give me 9. That's going to be 8 and 1. Okay, so that's k and k. And of course, both our brackets have got a negative sign because that's the sign of our middle term, right? So in this case, that we've got k is equal to 8 or k is equal to 1, right? So, but remember, what does k represent? 2 to the exponent x is equal to 8 or 2 to the exponent x gives us 1. So in this case, we've got 2 exponent x gives us, we change it into bases that are the same. So this is going to be 2 to the exponent x gives us 2 to the exponent 3, right? Or 2 to the exponent x gives us 2 exponent 0. Remember, anything raised to the exponent 0 is 1. Okay, so bases are the same. We can drop down the exponents. So x is equal to 3, or again, here x is equal to 0. Okay, right, and both answers are applicable. So therefore, that is our final answer. Right, the next one. I hope that you are getting the hang of this. Okay. In fact, in particular, I hope that you are actually enjoying it. So if you haven't watched our videos on exponents, please just do that so that obviously you get yourself as much info as possible on how to deal with the gymnastics there. Right, so now 2.2.3, we've got the xth root of 9, which is equal to 243, right? So now, what we're going to do is, remember what I can actually do to express this as an exponent. We've got 9, okay? Now remember, you've got a 1 here. So this is 1 over x. The xth root becomes the denominator of your base, of your exponent, right? This is equal to 243. Now, you can try this out, ladies and gents, right? And say, well, if I took 9, we know 9 squared is, 81, right? 9 squared is 81. But if we said times 9, right, you see, so 9 cubed would not work. So what we can do is express this as a prime factor, right? So I'm going to say this is 3 squared raised to the power 1 over x, right? What is it that we can express in terms of 3? So let's say 3, let's say 3 raised to the 4th root, right? To the exponent 4, right? That's 81, right? If we said 3 to the exponent 5, you see that's 243. So that's 3 to the exponent 5. What am I doing? I'm trying to get bases to be the same, because once bases are the same, we know we can just simply drop down the exponents, right? So we're going to say this is 3, right, to the exponent. Now remember, this is 2 over 1 times 1 over x. That will be 2 over x, which is equal to 3 raised to the exponent 5, right? So 2 over x will be equal to 5. And so in this case, what do? We cross multiply, right? That means 5x is equal to 2 times 1 will give us 2 rather. And so we can divide both sides by 5. And so x will be equal to 2 over 5. And that's our final answer. Hope that you've got that, ladies and gents. All we do is just to change those bases to be exactly the same, all right? And in this case, we just deal with the exponents. All right, now to the next one. Okay, in fact, I would dearly like to have that at the bottom there so that it's easier to deal with. Right, now they say simplify fully. So we're dealing with 2.3. Right, so we've got p squared minus q squared. Okay, so I actually should have taken this as a small p. Right, so that's p squared minus q squared multiplied by p plus q. That's 5 over 2 all over p minus q raised to the exponent 1 over 2. Now remember, ladies and gents, we can only add exponents when the bases are the same, right? So what am I going to do? Let's change that into exponential form. And in this case, what do? That becomes p squared minus q squared, right? Which is raised to the exponent 1 over 2, right? So remember, so if this is the case, okay, so that means it's raised to the exponent 1 over 2. In fact, I can see this is the difference of two squares, ladies and gents. Can you see that? So let me try and factorize it first and say, well, this is actually p plus q, p minus q, right? But all of that is under the square root multiplied by p plus q. That's 5 over 2, okay? All of it divided by p minus q, that's 1 over 2. Right, so now what do? We've got p plus q. Now remember, in this case, I'm going to use the rules of exponents, right? P plus q, p minus q, right? All of that raised to the power 1 over 2. Remember the square root? There's a 2 there. So it means that all of it is actually raised to the power 1 over 2. This is multiplied by p plus q, right? Raised to the 5 over 2. Okay, I'm just dragging this so that you guys get the gist of it. Okay, that's 1 over 2. Right. Now remember, in this case, if we've got a multiplied by b raised to the exponent n, this is the same as a to the n, b to the n. And that is the case there. We've got two brackets that are kind of bases in this case. So what does this change to? So this becomes p plus q 1 over 2 times p minus q 1 over 2. Okay? Multiplied by p plus q 5 over 2 all over p minus q 1 over 2. Now, I'm sure you can see that we've got two brackets that are exactly the same and we are multiplying. So in this case, that cancels with that. Okay, and now what do we have in terms of p plus q? Now, this base here is the same as that base. If bases are the same and we are multiplying, we can add the exponents, right? So that becomes 1 over 2 plus 5 over 2, right? So because the denominators are the same, so we can just simply add the numerators. 1 plus 5, that gives us 6, divided by 2, that gives us 3. So this will become p plus q to the exponent 3. I'm going to leave it there, ladies and gents. There's really no need for us to expand it any further, right? We have simplified it as much as possible. Right, I hope that you guys understood this This is based obviously on the section of, dealing with exponents. If you haven't watched that as yet, please try and watch that so that you can learn all the laws. Otherwise, from me for now, I'll see you guys next time. Please don't forget to subscribe and like and share to as many as possible. I'll see you guys next time. Sharp, sharp.